Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, December 19th, 2024. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Thursday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. A bit of a fade after trend day. The previous session here with a massive sell-off after the Fed announced a 25 basis point cut. Statement and rate decision here came out 1 p.m. Central Time in the previous session, and you can see the new FOMC key level here, 61.3675, and there was immediate selling pressure for the next 2 hours. A massive trend day structure to the downside where the ES dropped over 200 points, a range for the day of 241.5 points. That was 6 times the average range, 611% of ADR yesterday. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce back here today, a fade after trend day. You can see also an extreme reversal buy signal. The extreme reversal buy signal right there developing. Is that just a bounce back? Are we going to see a more aggressive return back to, say, the previous session's midpoint of 60.2725? Or is this early bounce back going to be met with some selling pressure that ultimately leads to more weakness ahead? Overall, after a day like that, you can tend to see some compression and a little bit of a pullback, but at the same time, that could be a day one sell-off that leads to additional weakness down the road. We are right in line with the uptrending structure for the most part of this trend, and in one big day, we dropped right to the bottom here. So got to see if this thing can continue to hold 5,900. A failure at 5,900 and you start to work back toward 5,700 and the previous month's low at 5,724. There is a support right in that area here. So this is the zone to watch. 6,000 on the top end here, 5,994 the previous FOMC key level from November. That's going to be an important zone as well. In the near term, early today, if price can't get beyond that level, we may begin to see a little bit of a weakness back into the 5960 zone. But right now, intraday, very bullish structure on an intraday basis. VWAP trending higher. That bodes very, very well, at least from a short-term intraday perspective. Got to see if this thing can push through 6,000 early in the day. Looking at the NQ here. NQ's up 0.7%, also an extreme reversal. This one had a huge day the previous session, over 1,000 points of range for this one. 1,076 is the range. That was a massive range on a one-day basis, over 400% of average. So that was 4 times the average range there for the NQ. The FOMC key level 22,288 half sold off away from that level over the final 2 hours of the day yesterday. And you can see we've come right back toward the FOMC key level from November here. Again, extreme reversal developing right now, which could be a short-term bullish pattern here. Nice intraday bullish trend where VWAP is sloping higher. And we could continue to see a little bit of strength to the upside. Can we get back as high as the previous session's midpoint? That's going to be 21,849s. We also had GDP come out this morning. GDP coming out 3.1% versus a 2.8 estimate. Better than expected there. Core PCE prices also out 2.2% versus a 2.10 expectation there. And we also have existing home sales coming out in a little while. So a little bit of strength here as we head into the RTH Open. Can this last, or do we start to see some selling pressure after the bump higher? As of right now, this market has had a bit of a bounce back that has been pretty typical after big time selling pressure in the past. You can see this big down day here, and the next day was a bit of a pullback, and then we've seen it rally. This was a big down day, bit of a pullback, and then we've seen it rally. So these one-day down moves have been followed by strength. So we'll see if this market again can hold these gains heading into the RTH Open. Any failure at 21,400 and you could open up a return back as low as 21,000 below. Looking at crude oil here, crude is higher by about 0.4% at the moment. Failed new low developing here and a bit of a bounce back. We are through the previous session's midpoint. The previous session here finishing with a squat bar, and a bit of a failed high. So we're at the point here where this thing is kind of compressing here a bit at this middle zone here, and if price can continue to hold above $70 here, and better yet start to push through 71, we could begin to see a bit of late month strength develop in this market. Can it get through 71s? Can it start to push through 72 down the road? That's going to be something to keep an eye on up ahead. But this one could see enough strength here today that takes it perhaps on an outside day basis as it approaches the previous session's high at 70.8. Looking at gold futures right now, gold, tremendous sell-off in the previous session, brought it all the way back through our target here. We had a 26.32 target yesterday. It broke through that target early after the FOMC came out with the rate cut, and it dropped into 2600 below. A little bit of a bounce back developing here today, hit the previous session's midpoint. Still a downtrend for gold, and the fact that it is through the 2630 level here, that's the midpoint of the key range, could open up the bottom of the key range at 2541.5 up ahead. 2-day lows very close to each other here around the 2596s. Failure through that zone and you open up more downside up ahead. Looking at the YM here, YM also with a bit of a bounce back day happening today. Massive range day for this one, over 1500 points of range, 1575 points of range. That was 500% of ADR yesterday. And you look at the last time we had a move of that magnitude, it was back here, 1549 points of range. That was the day after election day. The day after election day, we were looking for about 1500 points of range that day. We got it. This one beat that with 1575 points of range, and impressive because it kind of walked back that entire day's range all in one fell swoop yesterday. We have a little bit of an extreme reversal that's developing here today, but we have broken down through the previous month's midpoint. Is this going to be an opportunity here to bounce back and say return to 43,900, 44,129? Or again, do we start to see some selling pressure come in off the top end of the day's range with weakness ahead? As we mentioned a little bit earlier, the intraday VWAP remains a bullish slope right now. Things look bullish on an intraday chart for a bit more upside, but if this thing starts to fail back through the 42,600 level, it starts to open up 42,000 down below and perhaps even a bit lower. So keeping an eye on the intraday price action here today. After selling pressure of this magnitude, again, there can be a little bit of a fade after trend day, some compression here, but bears maintain control until proven otherwise. Looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin with a big time drop in the previous session, but not quite as big as the broader market. This thing had a range of 6,600 points yesterday, which was right around 125, 130% of ADR. This bounce back is being met with strength right now within the uptrending price structure, and it bounced off the previous month's close price. We're now back above the 102 level, 102K. Topped out at 108,960 a couple of days ago, but this pullback could be seen as a buying opportunity as this trend remains firmly intact. ETH down about 1/3% at the moment, 179 points of range. This one also saw selling pressure in the previous session here, 283.5 points of range yesterday. But it wasn't a super high range day. It was over average, but not over 125% of ADR. 110% right around that zone, and came back towards support here in pre-market trading. So you can see kind of the support zone right in this area, and it's been able to bounce off this zone so far this month. We're starting to see price recover the previous session's low here, and that could lead to again another rally back toward 4,000. This thing has built a nice little base at these highs. But again, if this thing fails through 3,400, that's where things could really change for ETH, which could lead to a rotation back toward 2,800 or perhaps even lower. So got to hold this zone here for a return to 4,000, and you got to start getting through 4,200 to open up 4,600 up above. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.